Welcome to AI in 5. I'm your host, Simon Chris. Joining me today is Professor Toby Walsh. He's the Chief Scientist at the AI Institute at the University of New South Wales. We're going to be chatting about deep fakes. Hi, Toby, and thanks for joining AI in 5.
My pleasure.
We find you today in the Blue Mountains of New South Wales and just returned home from a very important trip to the US. So welcome back to the country.
Thank you.
So one of the things that is particular about you is quite prolific writer, having authored at least 4 books on AI. And I'm going to give links to all of those books, but I wanted to focus in on your most recent one called Faking It. Can you tell us a little about the book?
Yeah, it turns out to be far more topical than I intended it to be. It's looking at generative AI. I started writing it the day that GPT-3 came out, thinking this is going to have consequence. And it's looking at the artificial intelligence, the fact that there's going to be a lot of fake AI and AI fakes that are going to be increasingly deceiving us. And one area I think of most pressing concern, because about half the world's democracies get to vote this year, is the impact it's going to have on our political process, in particular, how deep fakes are starting to turn up in elections around the world to mislead, misdirect voters to do things perhaps that aren't in their interests.
So how would that actually happen? How would that play out if someone wanted to impact? How would they go about doing it?
It hasn't. It's not something that's going to actually happen in the future. It's something that's actually happened. We've already seen in elections earlier, late last year in Argentina and Slovakia, deep fake audio, deep fake video that was released close to the polling day, where it was actually too late for people to, correct it and to say that this is untrue, that was misleading voters as to, what various candidates had said, and many commentators suspect had a material impact upon the outcome of those elections. We saw some deepfakes in the more recent Indian election, although those were mostly amusing. There's a very funny video of Prime Minister Modi dancing. I don't think I'm not sure that helped or hurt him either way. And in the recent British election, general election that we had in the UK, there weren't, well, at least that were far as has been reported, any significant notable uses of deep fakes. That was a pretty one-sided contest. So I don't think you were going to be able to, it's going to be quite difficult to sway that election. But, the place that I'm most concerned, I think, is the upcoming US presidential election. We've already seen the Republican Party, they put out a campaign advert where every image in the advert was faked. The problem is the tools have been very democratized. It takes no skill, no expertise, or no money even to be able to generate deep fake video, deep fake audio. We also saw not only a campaign advert where every image was faked, what it would look like under another Biden presidency of disasters and the economy disasters in foreign affairs, all fake video that if you hadn't been told, you might think was actually a real telecast. That would be, I think, you could rightly call that a weapon of mass persuasion.
And if we pivot into the business world a little, there was the story recently of the Hong Kong company that was tricked out of 100 million Hong Kong dollars. I know a lot of local councils in Australia are starting to receive now very eloquently worded, crafted submissions for new parks and things. We're clearly, being created. How can business protect it? So is there a way for them to protect themselves from these fakes, identify them? Is there anything we can do, or is this now just a part of life?
It is unfortunately a part of life. The problem is these tools are very democratized. It's very easy to get your hands on these tools, very easy to create such synthetic content that is very realistic, hyper realistic. I mean, any slight flaws that existed 6 months ago are quickly corrected. And so the the way to protect yourself is to be very old fashioned. You know, if someone rings you up, the only way to be sure it's them is for you to ring them back. You know, people can spoof caller ID. You know, you should. The only way you know that you've actually reached someone is if you've actually reached out to them. And you know, if you want to, you know, check that it's a customer, you know, it's old fashioned things like two-factor authentication. You've got, you know, two different ways you've reached the same person and they've replied positively through both those different channels. Unlikely that, you know, it's someone trying to spoof you or someone who's managed just to acquire their smartphone and hasn't got their laptop.
Okay, great. Look, thanks, Toby. This has been a fantastic AI in 5. I'm sure we'll do another one further down the line. There's so much that we could talk about. Just as you go, what's your one great tip for someone who's just starting out using generative AI?
I'll give you one of my favorite prompts. Like I'm a 5-year-old. Explain monetary policy to me like I'm a 5-year-old. Explain whatever you want. You get a very clear, simple answer back.
There you go, folks. Like I'm a 5-year-old. On that, we'll say thank you very much, Toby.
My pleasure, Simon.